For my daughters. Testimony. I want to tell you that the world is still beautiful. I tell you that, despite children raped on city streets, shut down in schoolrooms, despite the slow poison seeping from old and hidden sins into our air, soil, water, despite the thinning film that encloses our aching world, despite my own terror and despair. I want you to look again and again, to recognize the tender grasses, curled like a baby's fine hairs around your fingers, as a recurring miracle. To see that the river rocks shine like God, that the crisp voices of the orange and gold October leaves are laughing at death. I want you to look beneath the grass, to note the fragile hieroglyphics of ant, snail, beetle. I want you to understand that you are no more and no less necessary than the brown recluse, the ruby-throated hummingbird, the humpback whale, the profligate mimosa. I want to say, like Neruda, that I am waiting for a great and common tenderness, that I still believe we are capable of attention, that anyone who notices the world must want to save it. By Rebecca Baggett. A Map of the Known World. What Alexander wept to rule at last hangs on the wall, framed and flat under glass. On other walls in other rooms the charts show here and there old worlds once known by heart. The oceans, mountains, borders out of place, each maps wrong continents like egg on its face. How quaint the pilgrims' routes, the diagrams, crusaders followed through the Holy Land. How clever, after centuries, to pare the globe to one long skin by compass, astrolabe. Imagine all the world spread out for you, and scaled to just those landmarks that you knew. Think of setting off with nothing more firm than what you carried rolled beneath your arm. By James Scruton. Watching the water. Fall. All that way makes the mind resist its plunging certainties, as the eye flies up through foaming. Alright, we're gonna restart that. Watching the water. Fall. All that way makes the mind resist its plunging certainties, as the eye flies up through foaming perturbation, to find a silver strand slung loose in limber freefall, and then another, and another after that, each one a wish to end incorporeal in mist. By Stephen Winn. A friend just told me that he was dead. A friend just told me he was dead. He produced the newspaper, flipped to the obits. Sure enough, there he was, right down to the initial. You can see why it spooked me, he says, without a laugh. I look at the paper to see if it's fake. The sort of produced for gag shops and sold at the beach, in places for tourists and drunks. Real as, well, real, I determine. But, much as one's life, so too one's death requires reading to the last word, the period, or as the Germans say, Punkt. Near the end were things my friend has never been. By Robert Parham. Nightmare Revised. Now it is not a man pinned, eviscerated to a barn door, and stretched, moth-like, to show his brisket, the drying jewels of his guts, and his teeth red-tinged, eyes scalped bold. Now it is not a plum-colored sky over foothills of ruined chimneys, the world's forever October. Instead, I stand in a field where there is no barn, and the pinned man, my father, has been let down, sewn back to life. He walks through his home, loneliness his dark carapace. His mother lies in an oak box in a South Carolina graveyard. By now, her eyes are fused and sunken. By now, her mouth is a leather smudge. She wanted cremation, but the family would not have it. The bones of her fingers poke through skin. The moon emerges. The smell of smoke blooms on the sweet, sharp air, and I feel a joy under the thin blur of passing clouds. Stars shimmer, exact. I feel a joy, because there is no secret order of moth or plum, chimney or bone. Only the pungent fact that somewhere beyond my sight, a fire burns part of this land, gone, gone. By William Wright. Newspaper columnist dies while snorkeling. Darrell Sifford, 60, a nationally syndicated columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer, died yesterday while snorkeling off the coast of Belize. These were the last flickerings you knew. The damselfish that winked at you. The yellowback rainbow arcing across your mask. The seascape churning like a kaleidoscope. Parrotfish and silvery grunts flashing just beyond the bounds of language. The Gorgonian's flamboyant yellow-green plumes waving you by. A sea fan opening like a peacock. An iridescent wedge of race. A galaxy of angelfish and spiny urchins like blown stars. I wish this for you, Darrell. Suddenly, wordlessly dizzy with the beauty of the world. By Jeff Worley. Snowstorm. Heavy, wet snow all morning. Then, by noon, the clouds wrung dry, whipped away. The sky so brilliant after the viewing and graveside service for our youngest. A bill for it all in a folder on the counter. The food dropped off by friends, nearly gone. The last covered dish soaking in the sink. The scraps we couldn't force down afloat in the soapy scum. Both of us knowing the walk needed to be cleared. I forget who started it. Who was the first to find that snow on the car? Could be easily packed into a weapon to aim at the aching chest, the throbbing head, nothing off limits as we pounded away at each other until the car was clean as snow. And we had little left to do but swing wildly with our soaked fists, trying to push and trip, our arms wrapped and tangled together as we dragged each other down. By John Bargowski. Inscrutable twist. The twist of the stream was inscrutable. It was a seemingly run-of-the-mill stream that flowed for several miles by the side of Route 302 in northern Vermont, and presumably does still. But I have not been back there for what seems like a long time. I have it in my mind's eye. The way one crested a rise and rounded a corner on the narrow blacktop, going west, and saw, off to the left, in the flat green meadow, the stream turning briefly back on itself to form a perfect loop. A useless, light-filled water noose, or a fragment of moon's cursive, a sign or message of some kind, but left behind. By Anne Pierson Wiese. The world as it is. No ladders, no descending angels, no voice out of the whirlwind, no rending of the veil, or chariot in the sky. Only water rising and falling in breathing springs and seeping through limestone, aquifers filling and flowing over, russet strands of prairie grass and dark peoples of black-eyed Susans. Only the fixed and wandering stars, Orion rising sideways, Jupiter traversing the southwest like a great firefly, Venus trembling and faceted in the west, and the moon, appearing suddenly over your shoulder, brimming and a void, ripe with light, lifting slowly, deliberately, wobbling slightly, while far below, faithful sea rises up and follows. By Carolyn Miller. Teeth and feathers. My grandfather drank half a bottle of Jack Daniels the day he had his top teeth pulled. The next week he drank the other half, had his bottom teeth pulled. He never got dentures, and the man could eat a carrot. When he died, you could see white beneath his thin gums. I never thought about the bone there, or his macaw shelling peanuts for him in the evenings, reminding him, "Johnny Carson's on, Pa," her cry and her shrill blue wings spreading, even after he'd gone. By Diana Reaves. Clotho. Sister, has your edge been dulled by time or thread? I hear that now they're sewing hearts with thread. For what's ahead, tonight may you sleep deep, goose down pillows, fresh laundered sheets, 1200 thread. Eons in, I crave what pulls them through, blind faith, blind trust and love, that oh so tenuous thread. Push a pin into the map, push one off the edge to where she's gone, to feel that distance, tie the two with thread. Why should I mind? Spin me how you wish. David, the seamstress, in the dark, would know your thread. By David O'Connell.